And we are back with another episode of Big League Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Joyce, and today we have with us one of the best outfielders in the game today, and in my opinion, one of the best to ever do it. Kevin Kiermaier, thank you for joining us. You are a four-time Gold Glove winner and a 2015 Platinum Glove winner. First off, what's the difference between a Gold Glove and a Platinum Glove here?
Well, so there's 9 Gold Gloves given every year, and then of those 9 Gold Gloves from each league, American League, National League, there's a Platinum, the best of those 9, and I was able to win it my first full season in 2015.
Literally the best center fielder in the game.
Yeah, I mean the best. It's just like you were better at your position than everybody else, and when I won that, I was pumped to get gold, but then when you go to New York and accept your award in early November, Platinum is announced that night, and I had no idea, and I got announced that night, and it was just the icing on the cake. But that moment and the confidence that gave me awoke a beast, and I said, okay, I'm the best right now, and I've wanted to be the best even before that moment, but especially since then, where it was like, okay, like I have verification that I was the best this year, and that it just lit a fire in me like no other, and I'm thankful and grateful for that, and I've had that throughout my whole
you were
career.
Always built different, man. The outfield, it was so much fun to watch. So
I had to be though.
Yeah.
I always tell people, hey, if you're league average here, I have to do other things elite.
Yeah.
And I mean that. Like I always joke around. I'm like, hey, don't take anything away from me what I can do offensively, but I say when I put a glove on, I'm different than everybody out here.
You take a lot of pride in
I do.
in your outfield play.
Yep.
I mean, your defensive play. So I want to stay on that if we can.
Yep.
What do you feel like makes you so special in the outfield? I mean, I know you get great jumps. I mean, your speed's incredible. I mean, is it a lot of reading the game? Is it understanding the game? Are you cheating on some plays? You know, take me through a little bit about like your outfield play.
Yeah, I go out there, I try to listen to my instincts. Like now in the game, like we have the pitch com, and we know what pitch is coming.
Outfielders have pitch com?
Outfielders have it. I've had it. I choose not to do it. I'm more locked in when I can sit here and just.
Right.
At times, I think it could help for sure, but I know I've won Platinum Glove, I've won Gold Gloves without it,
Yep.
and I don't feel like I need it. I'm engaged in the game, but for me, there's a lot of different things that come into play for me. I've never wanted to have one weakness though, and I'm talking about everything. I want to be an elite thrower. I want to be able to catch balls in the gaps that no one else has. The way I go for ground balls and my accuracy, like I don't want to have a weakness. I love going back on balls. I love those balls at the wall, and I always tell people good outfielders can make, like, what separates a good outfielder to great outfielder, a lot of different things. But for me, like, I've been so good at around the wall and taking away robbing homers, extra base hits, stuff like that, and that's a big reason why my defense numbers are what they are. But my focus, my intent out there, like pre-pitch, where I'm like, I'll be ready. If there's 186 pitches thrown this game while I'm out, I will be ready for everyone. And I tell people throughout my first day in the big leagues in 2014, my rookie year, like I always tell people, I guarantee you could get whatever video of angle you want of me. There is never a play where I'm standing like I'm ready. But I know, like, I always tell myself too, like, and I know what my bread and butter is, but when I go out there, and I always try to do the same thing offensively, but when I'm out there in center field, the game is just, I'm in my happy place, my comfort zone, and I want to do things that other people don't do. And I'm, here in the off season, like I'm in my backyard, like doing explosive jumps up on like my island or whatever thing. Like I'm trying to keep my body, and I have to be elite in order for me to be in the lineup, because like I said, the other things that I'm not as good as what other guys are. So for me, I've told myself I have to be elite, and I have been, and I'm proud of having those skill sets and tools each and every year. But like I said, I want to be the best though. I want to be. I want other people.
And listen, I mean, from the day that you came up. Okay, the day you came up, 2013,
Yep.
It was a defensive replacement okay, for the Rays in game 163.
Yep.
So I don't.
Yep.
Do you
Get
know,
the chills. Get the chills.
Tell me what you remember about this.
Oh man,
debut.
I'll try not to go too long on this. So that year, 2013,
You had a phenomenal year.
had a phenomenal year.
Yeah, it was double
A, triple A.
Yep.
Was a fraction away from winning the batting title in the double A.
You got most valuable player.
Yep.
Yep.
Went up to triple A, did great there. Then we won the whole International League Championship. I played great there as well. Played awesome. I was so happy. And at this point, I graduated instructional league and all that. So I'm like, dude, I get it. I just had like the best year of my career, and I was just confident as can be. And I was like, next year I'm going to be in the big leagues. I'm working. I've done things this year I never thought I could do. Anyways, the season ends. We go through like a 3-4 week stretch of playoffs, which was fun. Played the most games ever my whole life at that point. I go home, and then Mitch Lukovics gives me a call, and Mitch was our farm director in the minor leagues way back in the day. This was, 2013. And I remember I'm driving home. I went and got a workout. I'm driving back to my parents' house, and he's like, hey, Kevin, we want you to come down to Port Charlotte for our hitters camp. Yeah. I'm like, Mitch, I just
played 100.
And the other dudes
games.
Yes. Yep. The other dudes that were there were all in like high A, some double A, guys who struggled bad. I'm like, Mitch, I just had a career year. I don't need to go hit in the cage.
Yep.
And he's like, well, we want you around our guys for a little bit longer. And I was pissed. Like I was heated. I was not happy because I was like, man,
I've season. You had a great year. You play in the playoffs. This is like you're close to 200 games a year, right? And then that's not even including spring training. People don't understand.
Yep.
And so by this time you're burnt out. You're like, man, finally you win the championship. I get to go home. I'm so excited to go home and enjoy the off season. Now they want you to come back, and you're like, what the hell?
And once again, I was the oldest dude there. No one else was in AAA. A couple guys barely in AA. And so I got there to Port Charlotte on a Sunday. I'm like, whatever. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Showed up, and I didn't have the greatest attitude for the first. I still did everything, but I'm just sitting here every day like, why am I here?
What am I doing? Yeah.
And no one told me anything. And then Friday comes around, and I'm the only one. I'm just hitting the cage, and then like 7 coaches walk through the cage back there, and they all come up to me, and I'm like, what's going on? They're like, you're not here for a hitter's camp. And I'm like, okay. They're like, our big league team is in Toronto, and if they win 2 of 3, which you guys did, if they win 2 of 3, we have a potential for game 163. And if we go to game 163, you are going. You're going for defense. We didn't want you to bring a bat down here. We just had to get you here to stay ready, but we didn't know within that time when I got there, Sunday through Friday, when I was told those 5 days, if you guys would have lost 4. Wow. You want to. So they told me on Friday, they said, if we make it, you are probably going to go to the big leagues and you're going to play in that game as a defensive replacement. Yeah. And at that point, like I said, I get the chills again. Whew. At that point, I'm like, let's go Shag BP, let's go.
Let's go Shag BP.
I wish you guys would have told me this from the get-go, but I was still, like I said, I was getting my work in, whatever. Not the happiest, but I was doing it. And at that point, I did everything that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I remember I was watching the Breaking Bad season finale with my boy, and it just ended, and I got a call like at 11:30 from, forget who called me, but they were like, hey, you're going to Texas tomorrow. Like, that's how I answered, and 3 seconds later, you're going to Texas, game 163, be ready.
Let's go.
So I'm like, and then my roommate was, Todd Glazeman, was super pumped, happy for me. The next day, catch a flight out there, and 12 hours later, I'm out there on the field in the 9th inning, and then shortly after, we're out there mobbing on Pricey after a CG dealt.
Yeah, he dealt. Sick.
And I'm like, 3 days ago, I'm in Port Charlotte. I popped champagne that night. A couple days later, we beat Cleveland. Popped champagne again. And I always tell people too, like that was the greatest way I could ever make my debut, and also to know, like, have that feeling and how much fun those nights were popping champagne. Even though, so I know you guys did all the work. I just was there to be there at the right time. But I had that moment with everybody in the clubhouse, and And I wanted to do that every year, and it took me 6 years to do that again. We didn't make the playoffs again until 2019. But best debut I could have ever asked for, and something I'll remember forever.
Do you remember who you replaced?
Did I replace you?
You did.
I did.
You did.
So
yeah,
I remember.
So obviously, on our end, we were like, hey, the guys were like, hey, this guy's sick. This guy's incredible. Like, he's a great outfielder, yada yada. And then we get to the ninth inning. I don't remember even how I did, but I'm out there, and they're like, hey, Joyce, Kevin's gonna go in for you. I'm like, whoa, what? I'm like, who? Like, who's this kid?
Let me stay out there.
Like, this kid just showed up. Like, you guys just called this guy up, and now you're replacing me. And I think BJ. I think it was BJ. Went to right?
Dez.
Dez.
Because I think DeJesus was in left, and I think they might have bumped Dez over to right, maybe.
And then I think there was one ball that was hit to you.
No, I didn't get anything hit.
You didn't?
No.
I remember why. Maybe it was in.
I was backing.
Maybe
I was backing up.
Yeah. It was in BP. I was watching this guy, and there was just flying all over the place, throwing just lasers from the outfield, and obviously your reputation preceded you. So,
yeah.
So that was cool. That's a cool debut.
Yep.
Cool
it was amazing.
What
man.
a great story that is for the young fans watching the show. All you could have said no and not gone.
Yeah.
How different would or who would you would have said at the front office? Somebody. I mean, your whole life could have changed on that decision.
Yeah, and I always said I've always worked for opportunities my whole life, but especially in the baseball world. And I said from the day I was drafted in 2010, I will do whatever it takes to make it. And I never had a plan B. I'm proud of that. And I was like, I will make this work, no doubt about it. And another big part of that was going to Australia to play winter ball in 2011 after my low A season. I did not want to go. I wanted to, once again, relax. But I'm like, whatever. The Rays want me to go, and I will prove to this organization I will do whatever it takes. They want to see me develop more.
Was this after low A? Or?
Yeah, after my low A season. Went to Instructs again, and then in Instructs they said, hey, we would love for you to go to Australia for the second half of the season out there.
How'd you do in low A?
I did well.
Yeah.
Oh, low A? No, I had a great, probably my best defensive year ever. But I hit 240, and it was just like, man, if this dude can learn how to hit, we got something.
Yep.
And I knew that too. Like I've always been raw my whole career, still am. But I was willing to do whatever it took, and I look back on it, and I remember like as a 21-year-old flying that was the worst travel day
it's like a 24-hour
ever.
flight, isn't it?
But it was. Yeah, long, 2 to Atlanta, 5 to LA, 16 to Sydney, another hour to Canberra, which is where I was. So it was awful, but looking back on it, it's a great experience. But I knew from early on, like I was like, I will do whatever it takes, and I won't. I'm going to make this organization happy, and I want them to know I'm willing to go above and beyond to make it. And I know I got to earn my stripes year after year, level after level, and that was something they asked me to do, and I'm like, all right, let's do it, and I'm so glad I did. But I mean, you can attest to the same thing. We have to do certain things that we don't necessarily want to do or sacrifice a lot of things, but it's all for the better. And for me, I've wanted to be an everyday position player in the big leagues for a long time, and here I am. I'm going to get 10 years this June, and super proud of that. But I know that I've done everything right along the way, and I'm proud of how I've worked over time, and that's why I'm here today. And it's been a heck of a ride, man.
Yeah,
heck of a ride.
I tell everybody it's the ultimate roller coaster. It's the highest highs
Yeah.
and the
Oh
lowest
yeah.
lows.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome that you're going to get 10 years.
Yep.
I think the stat that I read was like 10% of players that make to the big leagues, only 10.
I think seven
So
is
under
what
10.
I've heard as of the latest.
Yeah, so
Yep.
that's incredible. That's incredible.
Man.
Thank you.
But yeah, I played in winter ball. I didn't want to do it either. Long season. We went to the playoffs. They were like, "Hey, we want you to work on hitting off speed," of course. And so I went and played over in Mexico.
Dang.
Yeah, I went and played in Mexico where they throw a ton of off speed, and it helped. It was a good experience. The same thing, but like you don't want to do that. You know what I
The
mean?
best way to hit off speed is to hit the heater.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. From the hitting coaches, right?
Yeah.
Don't miss the
Oh,
heater.
that's right. So what do you do? Just go to Mexico and get an 0-1, 0-2 count every time and just work on.
Yeah,
Just-
sitting. I was half the time I was sitting off
yeah.
speed. I was like, all right, here it comes again.
Yep.
So you played for the Rays for 9 seasons. You had some pretty cool big hits. From when I was looking at, I mean, obviously played in the playoffs a few times there. Favorite memories besides like, hey, the debut.
I hit 2 home runs in the World Series that before we got to the World Series in 2020. I'm sitting here 6-7 years into my career at that point. I'm like, anyone can play in the regular season, whatever, but postseason, I've already experienced a good amount of it, but the World Series is different. And I said, what am I going to do to help this team on the highest stage? And that was something I was so looking forward to see what I was about. And I played great in the World Series. We came up short, and it stung, but there's a personal satisfaction where I'm like, I rose to the occasion. And I'm proud of the numbers I had there and the way I played, and hit a really big homer game 4 to tie the game in the 7th, and that was Kershaw was game 1. That was my second at bat of the World Series. So that was an incredible
lefty?
Yeah,
Kidding me?
yeah, that was an incredible moment. Rounding the bases off him, that was amazing. And we had I had a relay throw in 2019 versus the Astros to throw Altuve out, my first playoff game at the Trop, and that was, or it might have been the next game after that, but it was amazing. I hit a 3-run homer off Greinke in 2019 Game 3 when we were down 2-0. That was the loudest I've ever heard the Trop, from my personal experience. And moments like that, like, you can just never take away. And I love the grind throughout the season, but for me, there's nothing like the playoffs. Like, I live for it in my debut, and even now, like, I've been fortunate to
once you get a taste,
be there from 2019 all the way to last year, and I've always been a part of big moments every year, and that it's so fun. That's the biggest stage, and that's when the games matter the most, and that's what you play for. That's what you play for, and
it changes.
There's nothing like it, man. Yeah. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, playoff baseball is the best.
The best.
Definitely the best. I had a chance to go 6 times. I never made it to the World Series.
Yep.
We always got kicked out and beat in DS.
Yep.
So I was
it's tough, man. It's tough.
And that's the thing
it's hard to win.
It's hard to win, and you have to things have to go your way. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, you could have a great series, and there was times where I played really well, and it didn't matter.
Yep.
So the playoffs is I felt like every level was like the magnifying glass got a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And so with that, I want to kind of get your perspective on the World Series. That was a very interesting time to go to the World Series because it was 2020.
Yeah.
So you had COVID. So obviously playing in COVID, there was nobody in the stands for most of the season, and they had music on the speakers of just like kind of the crowd noise, the white noise. So, and then they started to let people in during the World Series, right?
Uh-huh.
So do you feel like it wasn't the same experience as like a normal World Series? Because I feel like
I've never been to a World Series other than that, and people say what they want to say about it, where it's like, oh, shortened season doesn't. I said start of the year, because I was like the vocal guy of our group and everything, and I said, let's be the team with the least amount of excuses this year. This whole year has sucked. It's not been fun for any of us dealing with all this, but we're not going to have we're going to see who the gamers are this year, because this counts.
Yeah.
This 2020, we're playing 60
we
games.
couldn't even do
this counts.
like hot cold tub stuff.
Yeah.
It was like it was like,
but I said,
old school ball, grab your glove and bat and go play.
Yeah, and if you didn't play, like, we were in the stands, like, if you didn't start that game, like, there was certain times where you could be in the dugout, but I was watching big league games in the stands, and I'm still like, could go in the game. It was crazy, but we went 40-20, won the division handedly, and it was so fun. That 2020 might be one of my most favorite seasons ever. And I think I'm still the only one. I know. I had a blast, though. I had an absolute blast in our playoff run when we went out to San Diego, played 5 games against the Yankees, went to 7 games against the Astros, and then went to the World Series. But our time out there in San Diego, we had a beautiful resort, but those games were the most intense games with no fans. Like, it was crazy. We'd stay at the same hotel, and we were at the Yankees, like us and the Yankees a couple weeks before. Chapman almost hit my boy Mike Brasso in the head with 101. We always, Rays and Yankees, always getting into it with each other. So when we're at the same hotel, it was always like heated and tension. And for us to win that series, it was an amazing time. And then Astros, great series, World Series. But it was the best, man. It was so much fun. And once again, like we were playing with no adrenaline because we're pumping in fake crowd noise, whatever. Right. And like I said 2 minutes ago, like you found out who the gamers were. And I'm so proud of our group and how much fun we had throughout that whole time. We came up short against the Dodgers, but that was a year where I feel like everyone was miserable. We made it the best we possibly could with coming up a little short, but man, amazing, and I'll always look back on that and think about that year and how special it was for me personally.
Yeah, it helps to win.
Yeah, winning's fun.
Winning solves a lot of problems, right? Winning
yes, it does.
I always felt like COVID was prison baseball.
Yes.
That's what I told everyone.
Yeah.
You couldn't leave the hotel.
Yep.
You couldn't hang out with the other guys in the other room.
Yep.
Right. You always had to wear a mask, and like you had to sit a certain distance away. Like everything. It was like this is.
We had the social distance in the parking lot with our cars. It's like, come on.
It was just, your car can't get too close to their car.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
In case the car coughs.
Yeah.
So
Kevin, you spent 9 years with the Rays and 1 with the Blue Jays. You're getting ready to hit your 10 years in service. How has the game changed through that whole journey? Like,
well, I'll
combine all those years.
I'll tell you what. When my rookie year, 2014, David DeJesus told me, if pitching was like what it was in 2014, he said if it was like this back in 2002 when I broke into the league, there's no way I would have 12 years in the big leagues. Mm-hmm. And here I am today with how good pitchers are and the way guys can spin the ball, heaters, everything. I'm at the latter end of my career at the right time. Like guys are nasty, way nastier now than ever. And the scouting reports and the stuff you get, it's like I feel like you feel like you're in a fastball or a good count to get a fastball, and you get a changeup or
something else.
And even guys who throw 100, guys want to throw off speed. And it's crazy, the game, so many different ways with all the rules and everything, but the way, how far pitching is ahead of hitting right now, I feel like it was, it's a game of failure. If you hit 300, great year, obviously, but now everyone jokes around and says, like, 280 is a new 300, and, but man, you sit here, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're playing teams who are 30 games under 500, the guys who these teams run out in the bullpens, and it's just like, man, everyone throws 100, everyone throws 92-mile-per-hour sliders, and has there's nothing easy, especially like AL East. I've been the AL East my whole career, and as tough as it's been, I love it though. It's been so competitive and so dang fun, and other divisions that have a ton of talent, rightfully so. But there's nothing like playing against like these big market teams throughout my whole career, and just it's been so fun. But man, it's changed so much on several different fronts. But the pitching, the way it is, I said, man,
pitching and catching has evolved so much. Do you think hitting maybe is there not enough evolvedness or going on within the hitting side more in the pitching and catching side?
Yeah, I mean it kind of when it comes to. I mean, as pitch, from catching standpoint, you're sitting here like there's like you sit here and I think the things that are taught now in spring training were definitely not taught when I broke into the league. But now, like guys are stealing strikes and trying to, do stuff like that. But the emphasis on it is just so much different now than what it was in the back or 10 years ago, if you ask me. But from a hitting standpoint, it just kind of depends who you're talking to or like what your philosophy are. I like dudes who like to talk like old school stuff. I try to keep it simple, but I'll sit here and be open about new stuff. But for me, like launch angle and that stuff means nothing. I know when I hit a ball good, and I know when I don't. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, I need to hit this at 28 degrees. I don't do numbers.
Not thinking about that.
I know when I get one, but everyone's different, though. Everyone's different, and at this point in my career, you hope that I have a good idea of what I want to do, and which I do, and years of experience have helped that. But everyone's different. Our bodies move different. I've sitting here so many times trying to replicate so many different guys, and I'm like, look, you can sit here and see what like the elite moves hitters are doing, but for me, I have to move my body the best I can, because I the same thing when I teach guys about outfield defense footwork. I'm like, hey, I come in for ground balls and I do something way different than traditional what's taught, but this is the way I do it and what I'm really good at. I can't tell someone else to do it if they want to do like the other foot forward or whatever. So I do the same thing, hitting like, hey, I would love to be Ronald Acuna. I have tried to emulate his stance and how I can't do it. Every Cargo, Robinson, Cano, I've tried everybody. Yep. And I'm like, man, the more boring I am, the better I am. And I've always wanted to go up there and, be swaggy, whoever, just dancing with the pitcher type thing. Yeah, Griffey, everyone wanted that. But for me, like I've learned, like when I'm more boring and simple, that's usually when I have my best results, or I'm controlling the strike zone better.
Find out what works.
But I'm always like, I don't know, I sit here still to this day, like I feel like I have not scratched the surface with my offensive potential, and I'm dead serious about that. But that is what, like the chase to success and figuring certain things out has been the most addictive chase my whole life. Like I've worked 5% of my career on defense. I'm like, I sit here and I practice things, but nothing like for me. I'm going home, I'm messing with my bat more than anyone. And I've worked a lot harder than I've worked smarter throughout my career, but I've been obsessed with trying to perfect my craft and getting better offensively. And I've done so many different stances, so many setups, and I'm like, I'm one little adjustment away from having something to click. And I always say I'm one mindset away as well from really honing something in and letting my body, allow my body to move and at a consistent way where I can have consistency. But I do different things every year because I'm searching. It's been a search my whole career, and
right.
I've made it work.
That's incredible that you're searching your whole career and you're still about to have 10 years in the show.
Still. And then and once again, I'm proud of that. But for me, I look at like Joe Mauer just got elected to the Hall of Fame. They show his high school swing compared to his last year. It's the same.
Same thing, right?
And I'm sitting here like I'm Cal Ripken. I'm the man with 1,000 stances, like in a season almost, where no one, not even my hitting coaches can see what I'm doing different. But I'm like, I'm way different than what I was yesterday. But like I said, I try to make the adjustments on my own, but my worst enemy at the same time when I always say, okay, we got to trust this or do that. But as I've gotten older and learned, like, I don't know, there's just certain positions that the best hitters get into over and over, and I'm still, to this day, trying to work on that and piece it all together. But
so
it's
let's go into approach, if that's okay.
Yep.
Right? So how much does your approach change depending on the pitcher, right? If we have Garrett Cole on the mound, right?
Yep.
He's throwing four-seam ride.
Yep.
How are you approaching hitting Garrett Cole with four-seam ride?
I'm not letting him throw a fastball for a strike. I don't, from 0-0 on. If he throws me a heater for a strike and I take it, I'm an idiot.
Are you looking for a pitch in a certain
guys like that, when it comes to him in particular, like he loves throwing the fastball. He loves challenging guys. That's what I hit the best.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to hit. I think, when guys have really good secondary stuff, I want to be aggressive with the heater and try to hit it early so I'm not in attack mode where someone's like, hey, like, hit this dude early, because if you get the slider or the split from certain, like, it's going to – we want to feel like we're in the driver's seat. So I know there's certain guys who I want to try to get early, or when I see guys who are, like, kind of falling into a little sequence or a groove where it's like, all right, this dude's just throwing heaters away to everybody, and everyone's taking it. I'm not taking it. I'm the 9-hole hitter. I'm not taking, like, I go up there every time and I'm like, what gives me the best chance? And there's times where someone makes swings at the first pitch and gets an out. Now you walk up to the plate, and there's times where I'm like, okay, got to take right here. And there's other times as I've gotten older, I'm like, whatever. I'm not about to take a middle heater right here, because then now I'm 0-1. If I check my swing and get 0-2, I'm sitting here beating myself up after the at-bat saying, I knew I should have just listened to myself and hit the heater. First pitch, that's what I would have had the best chance of doing. So it definitely changes each pitcher, game situation, inning, everything, where the game kind of, or the flow of your offense with your team kind of depicts that. And there's times where it's just like, look, we just got to go off the wall, off the scouting report. I have a feeling right now I'm sitting on this 0-0 curveball. And like I said, when you get this amount of time and so many games under your belts where I'm comfortable with doing stuff like that. I always tell the young guys too, like, hey man, don't think you have to take a pitch in this situation or that. I know you love hitting heaters just as much as me, and you don't like watching them pass when you know it's coming. It's just like doing this for the team. And then, like I said, it's so much off speed now, and guys' stuff are so dang good where we want to try to get ourselves in hitters counts, because especially when you get 0-2, 1-2, like they're just going to try to get you expand and make make them pitcher pitches where we're so like on the fence and we don't know what to do. So anytime, except for guys like me, I want to get and I want to be ahead of the count. In 0-0, like I'm ready to hit 0-0. And I watch Freddie Freeman, Altuve, Acuna, like the best hitter. These dudes, they might see 5 pitches. Devers, they might see 5 or 6 pitches in 4 at-bats total, but they're 3 for 4 with rockets. Like these guys who are Bo Bichette, guys who are ready to hit from the first pitch on, and they're just waiting for their pitch. These dudes crush rather than just going up there. Like I said, once again, from my mindset, pitchers are too dang good to sit here and be in the driver's seat the whole time. So
I felt like
I like going early.
Switch off. I feel like it was hard to almost like turn it back on.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're going up there, all right, I'm going to take it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm ready.
Yes.
It didn't work that way.
No.
Now
No.
I feel like, all right, I'm ready
No.
from the jump. If you're going to lay one in there, like I'm going to
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And for me, it's always like the lefty reliever. Like, is he going to give me, do I ambush a heater? Is he going to sit here?
Right.
And it's always such a game of cat and
You got
mouse.
to pick
and,
one or the other. Yeah.
But it's so fun, and that's why, like, it is. It's like cat and mouse, like how I know, and I always ask pitchers, too. I'm like, what do you guys see on the scouting reports? If you're coming to face the 3 hitters coming, like, the 7th inning, and you know who you're facing, what is being told to you in the bullpen? They're like, well, is he going to attack? Is he aggressive early? And then, okay, well, what zones is he hot in? What's he cold in? So, but I use that info from the pitchers to apply to my game, because I know, like, okay, the opposition, when I'm coming up, they're probably saying, okay, is Kiermaier going to swing first pitch? And if he, do this is how you should attack early. And these are the put away pitches to him. I sit here and I always tell pitchers, hey, sometimes you got to think like a hitter. And for me, I try to think like a pitcher up there. I think I'm a very good guesser. I watch a lot of video on guys, and I still have the career numbers that I do. And I feel like I've known what's coming to me the majority of my career. But, yeah, I don't know. I dive into all that, and I sit here, and at the end of the day, like, I go up in that batter's box, and I want to give myself the best chance. I don't want to think. I just want to move. I don't want to think about mechanics, and I've been there, done that plenty of times. It's a bad place to be, but as I've gotten older,
Doesn't go well.
like I said, if I can sit here and have, like, simple work in the cage and then take that to BP in the game, that is when I go my best. I don't have a tee routine during the season. I remember talking to Matt Kemp a couple off seasons ago. He's like, man, I don't care what you say. Every big leaguer has a tee routine. I'm sitting here like, but I have done better when I just react, and like a tee can create bad habits for me personally. And then when you have to like incorporate an arm or timing, it's completely different. And that is what I do better off, when I react and like get my good swings off in the cage, and I take that into BP in the game.
Do you constantly look for, like, power or gap, gap to gap, or coaches or the team ever kind of ask of you to be like, hey, be a ground ball guy? Does that have to do with the game? Does it have to do with your approach on that particular at bat, where it's like, all right, I got to move a guy over, then you get into that mindset? Or for our viewers at home, sometimes they don't listen to the coaching. So a big leaguer, who is capable of hitting a home run, but was also capable of hitting a 3-hopper between the 5-6 hole and getting in for a hit.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, I've never had anyone say, "Hey, like this off season, you need to work on this." And I think the Rays kind of just knew how I was, and it's just like, look, I'm gonna put in the work, and for me, I wanted to hit the way I wanted to hit, and once again, I have not set the league on fire. I've never been an all-star. I've never done anything too crazy, but I know when people put certain information in my head, how it makes me spin. Other guys can hear those things. For me, a couple little things like, hey, if you try this or that, it digs me into a deeper hole. But now I know times when I need to take, an extra base hit right here, work into your count, but right, okay, we got a 2-0 count right here. Like, we are not about to be late right here. We are to drive this. And then there's times where, okay, I'm up second in the 8th inning. My guy in front of me hits a leadoff double. For me, I'm cool with I'm trying to drive this guy in, but no matter what, I'm hitting the ball to the right. I'm not hitting anything foul ball to the left side no matter what. I'm moving this dude regardless. That is my intent. I'm not trying to hit the 6 hole where they're giving me the opening, because I might not. I'm a rollover right now is better to get him. And those are the team at bats that you need. But once again, I'm trying to hit it that way. I would love to hit a ball in the gap or whatever, but my intent is going this way. So game situation, everything comes into play, and I'm one of those guys. I've tried hitting for power. When I do that, it's not my game. But for me, I know when I'm hitting the ball to all fields, that is when I'm at my best, and I'm power every.
And sometimes it works out. You're looking for a ground ball to second, you hit a double off the wall.
Yeah.
It just works out.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're doing what's right for the team.
Yeah.
You're helping your team win.
I'm trying to help my team win, and I'm trying to know my role or my skill set and apply it in that moment right there. Like, if we're in the 9th inning and I'm the tying run at the plate, there's times like, I would love to hit a homer. I've been in that situation. There's times where I get too big and I have a really good pitch to hit, and I pop it up or roll over, and I'm like, man, I'm running back to the dugout. If I would have just stayed within myself and have like my 78, 82% effort level, I probably would have hit a homer.
Yeah.
So for me, when I overswing or try to hit the ball as far as awful. So that's why when I see guys overswing, I'm like, dude, you are strong enough. I promise. I've been there. I've done that plenty of times. It don't work.
Yep.
If you connect in BP, it feels great. But when we're facing guys in the game, you can still do it. There's guys who do. But when we're under control and relaxed, I feel like that's when everyone has all their best results, just because we allow ourselves to see the ball. And at that point, like, there's times where I have 2 strikes. I'm just trying to put the ball in play, and I'll hit a deep homer, not having no intent to try to do that at all. And I try to learn from those at bats too. And I'm like, man, why can't I just do this every time? But a lot easier said than done. I know, just do that.
Just do that.
That's awesome.
So I got a last question on the hitting, just because it's frustrating to me to hear, because I don't believe in it at all, and I want to get your take. A lot of these guys are teaching this barrel drop, and I'm just like, dude, I don't know anybody in the big leagues that is doing this barrel drop or teaching this barrel drop. So I have to get your take. I mean, I feel like your swing is very flat. I feel like you're very, if anything, maybe a little bit more down.
Yeah.
But again, that's your swing.
Yeah. And the more, I went and saw Judge's hitting coach, Kiermaier, a couple years ago, and he is one of the guys who does that. And like everything Judge is just he's a freak. So he can do crazy things, but they're they're things that people are teaching and they go by. But like, if you sit here and watch video of like guys in slow-mo, guys are like, they're all going at a ball like in a certain direction. It's like more of like they're pulling their hands down. And now with like guys throwing heaters at the top of the zone, it's like, how is this your first move? And I agree with a lot of things that are being taught in a sense, but there are certain things, like for me, I'm like, look, I know this might be the new way. I physically can't do it. Some guys might have the strength or the whatever to do it, and like working up through the ball, I understand.
I think you can get away with it a little bit more with a lower pitch. Right?
But at the end of the day, there's so many philosophies, and that's why I said I like having Don Mattingly like as our bench coach last year. Like, listen to him talk, and like guys who've had success, and you watch guys who played back in the 70s and 80s, and how guys kind of look like stances and setups were different back then a little, just kind of like hunched over. But these dudes, they're still doing like the elite moves in kind of a different way. But
so Donnie was
Donnie.
I had Donnie as our manager in
Yep.
Miami for COVID.
Yep.
He was awesome.
Yep.
Donnie was the man.
I
Donnie,
feel like old school's, short and sweet was the old school way.
Yep.
Right? Just stay short and sweet.
Yep.
Now, if pitching is what's been evolving into stronger, faster, sharper stuff, should short and sweet still be the theory,
Yeah.
right? Or shorter and sweeter, right? Like,
Yeah.
like it's got to be like even shorter. And instead, they're like working with these hitters on. It's almost like getting longer. Well, scientifically, I mean, the pitch is always coming below the hands, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's ever higher than hand. Everything's coming down here. You got a guy like Judge who's way up there. I mean, everything has to look to him like it's coming down to the knees,
Yep.
right? So, of course, a guy that tall has to get down there. That's
Yep.
what everybody's doing.
Yep.
But the average ball player, with a nice stance, balance, bent a little bit, that pitch is right here in front of you. You don't have the time or the ability to really get yourself around to catch this
Yeah.
baseball. You just gotta stay there, especially if you say the pitching has gotten.
Yeah, it has. And I like the old school mentality, like everyone's like swing down, and I understand the concept of that too. And there's times like if you hit a tee, it's like someone's like, trust me, like try to hit the top part of this ball, and you feel like you're taking a direct, and then it like rockets a line drive right back up the middle, and you're exaggerating off the tee doing something, and it's just about creating that backspin. But I still think there's times where, like, I hear guys contradict themselves, or like, back in my day I was thinking do that, and then you'd see like a slow-mo where they would kind of, I don't know, like we make our move, and like the bat just kind of goes in a way. So I think guys will say things that, once again, completely contradict like what they're saying they're doing, but they're not actually doing it. But I think as long as, if you can just get into a good body position and have your hands available where you can be quick with the swing and just react and be in a good, powerful position.
I agree with what you're
that's
saying,
what guys
because even
are.
a slow-mo of Judge looks like I saw a slow-mo just yesterday, I think it was, and it was
Yeah.
pretty straight, But I also think the pitch has a lot to do with it, and people don't talk about that. When you're sitting there seeing a breaking pitch that you thought was a fastball, and you were going right to it, and then you realize it's going this way, so all of a sudden you're like, oh, let me do this to get to that pitch.
And
right?
you always try to, like for me, I wish I could take the same swing on every pitch, location. And there's certain, like Trout takes the same swing every, like it don't matter if you see him on a 2-0 swing or an 0-2, he has like, and things might differentiate with height of the pit, but he is taking the same swing. There's times like for me, like when I get change-ups for whatever reason, like I want to go butt back and I can flick it, and I've had a lot of success. I don't try to do it. I don't think about that. It's just some pitches make me do certain things, and that's probably why my numbers are what they are and why Trout. And I understand that, but you sit here and like try to make those adjustments and make it work. But the guys who can sit here and take that same swing are the guys who are all-stars and have the numbers like they do. Guys who make the game look easy, like my peers who play are incredible. I have the most respect ever for guys who go out here and post numbers every year. Pitchers know that they're the best player on this team. Dudes like Corey Seager, like these guys do it every year no matter what. Pitchers know they can't make any mistakes, and they still go out here and hit 330, 340. It is incredible.
It's incredible. By the way, if you ask Mike Trout about hitting, okay, because I played with him at 15, say, what do you got, man? Give me something. What do you think about hitting? I'm like trying to learn, trying to pick his brain. He goes, yeah, I just try to hit the ball to right center. I'm like, what? That's it? That's all you got for me? Yeah, I just try to hit a line drive, sometimes fly ball, right center, depending who's pitching. That's it. That's all you got. And I'm like, oh, get it.
I
don't want to talk to you.
People always like who the best hitters I've ever seen in person, Bo Bichette and Yandy Diaz. These dudes are like truly wake up out of bed and rake. But what they do in the cage, like Bo's a dude, like he hits ground balls at the second base, kind of like Longo. Longo had the worst, most boring little flares.
Was terrible.
Bo is like, he's crushing these and he's hitting them flush. He gets super mad. He gets very mad when he rolls over. Doesn't happen a lot, or even if he hooks a ball in the left field, because he is trying to do that. And then the game, he's still doing that. But like those inside pitches, he can still hit that way if he catches them out front.
Yep.
And Yandy, like he's an absolute freak. And these guys who make it look that easy, like they perfected like the move that is so efficient. And
what works for them.
And they are the elite of the elite.
Yeah, so staying with Bo Bichette and obviously playing in Toronto last year. Let's dive into that a little
Okay.
bit, right? So what's the biggest difference between Tampa and Toronto? Obviously, you spent a lot of time in Tampa, and both are turf, which I wouldn't be that excited about.
Rug life is what I call it. Rug life. A lot of Toronto, ton of people. A bad night for us was 23,000, and for the Rays, like it's a Saturday night on a really good time of the year. So the crowds were much different, and having that energy with your home. And I love, like, people sit here and say what they want about the fans with the Rays and the Trop. I freaking love the Trop. I love taking that field every day, no matter what. But it'd just be be a lie if I said there wasn't, like, the adrenaline it creates when you run out the field, when you have 30, 40,000, and it's just like, this is how it should be. That was the main difference, but man, it was so much fun. That's why, I'm going back there this year. I'm super pumped, but it was the thrill of the unknown, going into a different team for the first time last year. I didn't know what to expect. I knew I was going to love it. I didn't realize I'd love it as much as what I did, and it's a clubhouse I'm so pumped to go back to. So I'm a lucky man.
Yeah, you guys, Bo Bichette, Vladdy, Chapman.
Chappie.
So I played with Chappie in Oakland. He's awesome.
Yes,
honestly,
he is.
One of the best third basemen I've ever seen. The only difference, and I always tell people, people would talk about the difference between him and Arenado. And I would say, I felt like Chappie made more like extreme, ridiculous plays, but the consistency, Arenado was just more consistent.
Yeah, so, he's won 6 platinum gloves, and before this year won 10 gold gloves in a row. Unreal. But Chappie, playing with him this past year, he won us so many games that the box score would never, like the double plays and the plays that he was able to make that no one else. The dude Brian Hayes for the Pirates, like that dude is the only person who I'd put in the same category as Chapman. And I know, like, that's the way I always tell, like, pitcher, I'm like, I don't think you'll appreciate what I'll do. And I always, like, the pitchers, I'm like, I will be your favorite center fielder before this year's. And I told that to Gosman, Bassett, all these guys. I was like, that is my goal. Like, I want you to be like, I don't want anyone else out there besides KK throughout your whole career. And with dudes like Chapman, the way he, 2-time platinum glover, it's, once again, if you sit out here and watch these dudes for 150-some games and the value that they have for playing 27 outs out there on the hot corner, I knew he was good, but watch him every day. It's just like, hey, this dude's the best. He's the best.
Unbelievable.
I don't want anyone else out there. Different.
Yeah. What do you got on Bo Bichette and Vladdy? Vladdy's got to be fun to watch. I think he had a little bit of a down year last year, though.
Down year, still drove in 94, hit 276 with
what?
20 mid-20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be a great down year to have where everyone's like, man, is this guy going to be okay? He's going to have a huge year. I saw a video of him. He looks great.
Yeah. What's
He acts the way, like, for me, when I saw him last year and watching him work in spring training and throughout the season, I'm like, this is how a superstar is supposed to act in many ways. And when we would go out and people would sit here, he was always so nice and respectful. And you see how, like, certain people, like, and I get there's a time and a place for everything, but man, he always would sign and be very respectful to people. Love Vladdy, Bo's the man. I mean, just a bunch of great dudes over there. And once again, that's why I'm so pumped to going back. But it's crazy how I always tell people, I don't care if you're like, those dudes are 24, 25 years old. I'm asking them more questions than anybody. I'm always asking, like, George Springer questions as well about hitting and guys who've had success. But that's what I love about baseball. You can ask someone who's 10, 15 years younger than you, hey, what do you like, whether it's hitting, base running, defense, and that's the beauty of it. We're all trying to help each other. We're not trying to hold our secrets in. We're trying to be better with us, but we're trying to make our teammates better as well. And it's just a revolving circle of that. And you hope everyone plays at the, like, max potential. And play great in the regular season where you advance in the postseason and then go make a run there as well. But that's what I love about baseball. I don't care. I'll ask a 20-year-old, hey, what are you doing? What are you thinking? I need to know.
Because you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, what works for you might work for me, might not.
And every now and then, like, someone will drop like a quote or something like and then those things stick. And that's why I told someone a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, dude, you're a mindset away from unlocking your potential. He's like, I never thought of that, but I know I've had a lot of things said to me over the years where I'm like, I never thought of it like that. Okay, but you try to just store in your brain what you like and whatever you don't like, flush it out, and go from there.
Yeah. So we've been at this for a little while. I mean, we talk all day.
I know. I
could feel like it.
Yeah.
That's how much fun it is to talk about the game.
Yeah.
We love talking about hitting. I kind of want to wrap it up on the fans overall, but I want to tell you one of my favorite stories about Toronto was the fans, because you stand in the outfield and you get worn out, especially on the corners. Center field, I feel like, has a little bit better.
Oh, I got worn out, trust me.
You still get crushed out there. And so one of the funnier ones in Toronto was I had this girl yell at me. She was like, Joyce, I'm pregnant. It's yours. and I was like, oh, geez, here we go. Right? And then I had a guy go, Joyce, I'm pregnant. It's yours. and that one cracked me up. So I want to know, for the fans at home, is there any good fan interactions or anything that comes to your mind that's funny that really stands out where you're like, oh, that one made me laugh?
Oh man, off the top of my head, I think of like all the Yankee stadiums where I have like 10-year-olds giving me the double birds. Yeah, like that's the majority of it, and you do have like good friendly interactions at time. For me, I don't know if I can think about anything like that off the top of my head. There's just been so many thousands of hilarious things said over the years, but
and nowadays they have all your information online.
Oh
right?
my gosh!
So
I hear about Marissa and my kids and stuff like this, and whatever.
Scary.
But when someone talks trash to me out there, and if I can figure out who it is, don't give me something obvious from the get-go where I can just bury you, or because I am like someone wants to be funny around their friends, and if I can pick something out where I think I can destroy this dude, or I'm doing it.
Yep.
And it's all like they want to do it to me. I want to play right back, but that's fun. That's the fun part. But now, like with the pitch clock, this is a thing. With the pitch clock, you can't sit here because the pitch is thrown, and like 7 or 8 seconds later, the other one is pretty much.
That's something that you don't even think about.
Yeah, back in the day, we could sit here when like Sergio Romo or someone like 40 seconds in, you could sit here and have combos or whatever, but now way different. But it's fun, man. I enjoy it from the good and the bad.
I feel like that was like one of the worst parts.
I don't think Matty enjoyed it from the bad.
No, I didn't enjoy
bad
it.
outings.
Well,
we won't discuss
right
now.
The outfield too, though. The outfield, like up around the dugouts, people still, have some drinks. And outfield security is way less, and it's like the party section 100%. Everywhere. So you go to like White Sox, Yankees, whatever. Like you have no bleacher creatures, Cubs.
Yeah.
They get rowdy out there.
Especially like that 6th, 7th, 8th inning,
Oh yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. It gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
I remember plenty of games standing out there and I'm like, oh my God, this game cannot be over soon enough, please.
Yep.
At like 0 for 3 punchies.
Yep. Oh yeah.
My God, dude.
Oh yeah.
Just
you going back out to your positions, like I know they're about to just wear me out.
Just get crushed.
You want to close it out? We have a fan question. Ms. Annie wanted to know, what advice you got for the kids that are trying to make it like both you guys did. Is it work ethic? Is it a vision? Is it a combination of everything?
What do you got?
For me, if you want to be a professional baseball player, major league player, you have to work like you've never imagined. And because there's just so much competition, there's so many guys who are, you don't know how motivated or how hard these people are working away from you. And for me, like I always said, there's no way anyone's doing more than me right now. I might not be the best player, but there's no way no one is thinking about their game or trying to make their body like perform at the max level. And that's what it takes. You can't take any time off because, like I said, the young kids now, they are so talented, and And if you're not performing and someone else is ready to go, depending on who you are, what your situation is, you're going to get flip-flopped and, hey, like, what have you done for me lately? But you have to have a crazy amount of dedication and sacrifice, because there's not many people who can just, like the people who just wake up out of bed and rake and are incredible on the field. Everyone's working at a level that I think a lot of people from the outside in have no idea whatsoever. But if you want to make it, you better get dedicated and committed early as possible.
So be ready for that one opportunity they may get. They got to be ready for it.
And then you better run with it when you get it.
Yeah. I mean, ditto. It's almost like an obsession.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's an obsession to be as good as you possibly could be.
Yeah.
And that's how it was for me. And honestly, like, that transition out is hard, because now you're like, God, okay, well, I can't obsess over this one thing anymore.
Yep.
Like, I got to go find something else to do. So
Yep.
that's why we had you on the show. I mean, we really enjoy these conversations.
Great time.
Miss being around the boys.
Yeah.
And that's one of the parts of the game that you
Yep.
miss the most
Yep.
is the camaraderie. So really appreciate you taking the time for us.
Thank you.
and
Thank you, my man. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Chopping up the
Thanks for
game
being on the show,
and obviously going to be fun to watch you this year. And
Yeah.
root for you.
Thank you. I hope
We
you
love
guys. I hope you invite me back, man. This is a
let's
great
do it.
time.
Let's
Thank
do
you.
it. We'll do it. We'll have you back on. Right after you go hit 40.
Ooh, okay. Oh, no.
40 doubles. 40 doubles.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Oh, that's funny.
That was awesome, man. That was great.
Yes, it
That
was.
was long, right?
Yeah, we went over an hour. That's why I was worried.